What's up, guys? Welcome to the Take It With a Grain podcast. Today I'm joined by
Skylar Finnestad.
And we're going to go over everything and anything, really. This is the pilot episode, so we want to do a little bit of an introduction for both myself and for Skylar and just give you guys an idea of what to expect with this podcast. So, Skylar, how did you get into the real estate industry?
Absolutely by accident.
Really? Tell us all about it.
Just took
from day one.
Upper division elective in college. That was a real estate course and actually fell in love with it. I visited with my professor. He recommended taking a particular course that was like real estate practice, more geared toward actually buying and selling real estate. So I took that the following semester. Loved that.
Right.
Decided that I actually really had an interest in the field, and took a job answering phones and working the front desk at a very large real estate brokerage in Edmond.
So you got to see like the behind the scenes of it before you really dove into like actually helping clients directly.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you were talking to them.
I worked for the agents first.
Okay.
Before I ever was one.
Yeah. And so that was up in Edmond. How long did you answer the phones up there?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. And you liked the flow of it?
I was finishing college.
Okay. Yeah. So you were still in college taking your classes that way and then got into that. So what was it that made you want to become an agent?
I started seeing their income.
Right. So I guess the better question, I mean, that's the obvious one. I feel like a lot of people have that assumption about the industry, but it's like, what is it about helping clients now that has kept you in the industry? Because you've been doing it 12 years.
Yeah, what I started, like what got me into it isn't why I stayed.
Right.
But it's really turned into, in the beginning it was buying and selling and helping people make those big life decisions. And then since then it has developed into more of like helping agents.
Okay.
So my focus now is more on like helping new agents figure out their career and their business models and grow and change their lives through real estate.
Which you've done an awesome job of doing, I feel like, at this point. So, I mean, just the 12-year, what is it, 12 years?
12, yep.
So that's impressive by itself, just to have survived that. And that's really, honestly, a really cool story of how you got into it. Mine was kind of similar. I mean, I didn't have any idea about what the industry was like, or, I mean, you saw me when we first came into the office. It was very new. I had no idea that it would turn into something that I just absolutely loved and can see myself doing for a long time. But that's really cool. I wish that I had that leg up, because I feel like you don't really necessarily have to have that education, but the fact that you do is like really cool.
Yeah, I actually have a minor in real estate, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Right.
Like that kind of came with time.
Yeah.
But it did help in the beginning, really, with just like passing the course. But other than that, I mean, I don't know that there's a ton of it that I actually use today. But
I was gonna say, do you find yourself applying some of those things, or
there are some things like that we learn like on the financial side and like the business modeling, but not so much as like, you know, actual real estate terms and stuff like that. Most of that is, you know, kind of ebbs and flows and changes, and contracts obviously are very different now than they were 12 years ago.
That's right. I mean, even the way we schedule things now is very different. Like,
yes,
just the
I used to do
stuff.
the scheduling.
Right.
So when I would answer calls, I scheduled showings. There was 200 and something agents in that office, and they would have other agents, cross-sell agents, call the office to schedule the showings. And so that was my job, was to call the client, get it confirmed, call the agent back, let them know it was confirmed, let the listing agent know it was confirmed.
Right.
And now we just click some buttons.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love that that's, you know, the business side of Skylar, but what's the personal side look like? I mean, what's keeping you going? Because that's a big part of the business too, is just making sure that self-care, doing the things you like, you know, enjoying the fruits of your labor. What are things that you like in your personal life, you know, are prideful of, or that like are important to you?
Chase my kids.
Yes.
Yeah. Lots of kids. Lots of kids and lots of athletes. So chasing kids is huge. My second love in life, I would say, is like health and fitness. So making sure that like gym time, nutrition, that stuff is all dialed in. I definitely feel better, sharper, have more energy, all the things when all that stuff is lined up.
Right.
So it's kind of like the second love of my life, next to real estate.
Right.
And then we have a funny farm.
Mm-hmm.
So all my animals.
We've heard many stories about the funny farm around here. It's definitely something like I've seen it now.
Yes.
But like, what started that? Like, just wanted.
My dad.
Your dad started that?
So when my daughter was little, my dad made a habit of showing up at my house with animals.
You're like, we're just going to adopt them. They're part of the family.
Started with a miniature potbelly pig, turned into a miniature donkey. Mm-hmm. He also one time dropped off a goat.
Right.
So I started with Papa, like, dropping off all the animals for the grands. Mm-hmm. And then it's just kind of became another little hobby of mine. So now we have like miniature Highland cattle, miniature donkeys, and no pigs anymore, but dogs.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Just the 3 species currently.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I didn't even know that was like his idea in the beginning.
It all really started with a miniature potbelly pig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Her name was Susie.
Well, I love that. So I guess my next question before I get into my story and that whole spiel is, could you do it without those things? No. Real estate or any of it? I mean,
there wouldn't be the drive to do what I do in real estate. So real estate is kind of I love it, and I've done it for so long now. I think once you've been in the industry this long, you're kind of probably never leaving. Right. I'm a lifer.
Yeah.
But it's the driving force behind everything else that I do.
Right. Absolutely.
So, and they do they give and take between the two consistently. Sometimes one takes more energy and sometimes the other, but they balance and kind of need all of it to make the world go around.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So kind of getting into my background as well, I started working fast food and I was just working. You're good. No, you're good. I was working these jobs that, everyone else does getting out of high school, I feel like. And, then went to college as well. So I got a full ride scholarship to go play baseball. And after that, I was like, I did 2 semesters, moved back home for other reasons, family reasons, but also just because I didn't feel like I was really getting anywhere. Yeah. I mean, the school was okay. I liked classes well enough, but I was having a hard time with the baseball program there. It wasn't as serious as I thought it was going to be. And I just wanted to come back home and make money, to be really honest. It was hard because you're going to classes, you're playing ball. You might have a 4-hour practice after you sat in class for 6 hours, and then you got to go to work because you got to pay the bills somehow. Yeah. So I was doing that for a year, moved back home, and I worked warehouses. That was all I did for a year and a half. And it's hard on your body. I'm 23, but it was aging me really quickly.
Quick.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really funny then, and Skylar and I have talked about this, but it's saw that you guys were putting the building up here, mm-hmm. saw the signage out front, and I had never even thought of real estate. It wasn't even a thought in my brain that was going to be what it was.
Which was 3 years ago, which is hard to believe.
It's unbelievable. It really is to think 3 years ago I was in those shoes, and especially to look back now because I have found some success in it, and I mean there's so much more room to grow. But looking back on those 3 years, I'm like, I would have never even thought of it had this building not existed. So,
I feel like you're a completely different human than
the
young man that walked into my office one day.
I mean, even personally, but especially professionally, because
I'd say both.
Yeah, I would say it's probably about equal. But life looks a lot different now for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the crazy part. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know you until I walked in here and was like, hey, how does this work? Do you pay? How?
Tell me everything I don't know.
Yeah. I had all the questions, but none of the answers at that point. And so you did an awesome job helping me do that. And I did interview other brokerages for sure, but this one stuck out to me in the beginning as well. But personally, I mean, those are similar things. I don't have a funny farm, but we do have, friends and family that I try to stick close to. And especially, I mean, even outside of that, just the brokerage has a huge, great culture behind it, and just the mentorship and outside of mentorship and training, just like people being there for each other, having each other's backs. And so that's why I've stuck with it, on top of all the clients that I've had the pleasure of helping either buy or sell, or having those late conversations at night about whatever it is. I mean, sometimes
life, business.
Sometimes it's not even real estate related. It's just being there for people, and that's why I really love what I have the pleasure of doing, along with the people that I have the pleasure of doing it with, because that's what makes a huge difference for me.
And I think that goes for like the agents and then your clients too. Like, yeah, you have those relationships with your agents that you work with and build those relationships, but you build those relationships with your clients.
Right.
A client is quicker to become a friend than a friend is to become a client.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, I didn't really think of that when I first joined the industry, but then I'm like, dude, these people are my people. Once you work with them and go through, sometimes it's a traumatic experience, and we're the ones to mediate that. But once you're there for somebody in those shoes, you get really close to your
bond.
People. So I mean, trauma bonding is a real thing. It really is.
Not all real estate transactions are traumatic. Okay?
Right. Let's not misconstrue that, but definitely, I mean, there's some that you're like, what even happened there? Like, how did we?
Like, whoop, we survived.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that was something like in the beginning I had no idea about, and I'm very thankful that it worked out the way it has, and that we're both here now doing a podcast that's only going to make it grow even bigger.
I know. Outside of our comfort zones. Let's see what we're going to do to get out of our comfort zone today.
Right. Absolutely.
Exhibit 8.
Get Skylar on camera. So
here we are.
Yeah. I want to bridge a little bit into what this podcast will be, but also why it exists. And one of the big things for me is like, I want to talk about what kind of frustrates us about this industry, and this can be anything from a transaction to dealing with because it's your customer facing, but you also have to deal with like the clerical work on the back end. So discussing some of that stuff in the future, but more importantly, I think the second topic that I really like is what people are getting wrong, whether that's buyers and sellers, consumers.
You can look at that from any standpoint, what are buyers doing wrong that's biting them in the rear later? What are decisions that sellers are making that long term make the transaction harder? What are agents doing that are wrong, that is like, creating new obstacles for them in their business that they probably shouldn't really have to deal with. Right. But they're creating the issue. So
Absolutely.
I love that topic.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I mean, and it's not even just, like you said, consumers that are trying to sell their house on their own, or buyers that haven't really had a real conversation of what the expectation behind buying a home looks like, but also agents and even business owners in general.
Entrepreneurs.
If we can help entrepreneurs, business owners, people that are actively growing something.
You can't be a real realtor without having an entrepreneurial spirit. So there's lots of stuff that are going to be, maybe we talk about it in real estate specifics, but it's going to be more applicable to entrepreneurs as a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to touch on that. And then just some certain things that buyers and sellers wish they knew going into a transaction. I think that last topic touches on that a little bit. And then, of course, like, I'd love to get some questions and answers going. Have people send in questions that they want to see us cover on the show.
I love a good Q&A.
Yeah.
Throw them at me.
I won't even tell you before we get in here. We'll just throw them at you and we'll see what you say.
If I don't have an answer, we'll figure it out. We'll talk it out.
I mean, that's the beauty of it, especially when I first started. That was what you told me day one. You're like, if we don't know, we're going to find somebody who does. I mean, there's always someone smarter than you.
Someone knows.
No matter what. Like, you've been doing it 12 years. There's still questions that I ask you. You're like, I don't know.
I don't know, but let's figure out the answer. Right. I'm going to learn something today too.
Right. So those are kind of the things that, our listeners can expect. And hopefully, like I said, it helps some people mitigate some headaches that they run into, or just some common pitfalls that we see dealing with this on a daily basis. Because it's a full-time job. I mean, even just starting a podcast. Starting a podcast could turn into a full-time job.
We already got a couple of full-time jobs. Let's add another one.
Yeah, absolutely. So really just like the real deals and wins that we're talking about, breaking down, the actual real things that happen, because there's a lot of things behind the scenes that I don't think that consumers see, and that's a purpose. Like there's intention behind that.
You know, I always tell people too, I'm like, if you had a really easy real estate transaction, you probably had a realtor who was actually really good at their job and made it look that way.
And that's the truth. I mean,
because there's not a transaction, and this can be applicable to other industries too, but in real estate, there's not a transaction that doesn't have some type of a problem or a bump or a hurdle. And so it's like, how do you handle that? And how was that handled? And does the consumer ever even feel that road bump? Or did you have a really good agent that did just navigate it? And there's times that the agent can do everything in the books, but they're not going to be able to get rid of that road bump. The consumer is going to feel it.
Right.
So how painless can we make it for the situation at hand?
Right. I mean, that's business in general. I mean, all a business does is solve problems.
And I think social media is really bad with real estate and making it look all like sunshine and rainbows and not necessarily showing the struggles that new agents have, the problems that we deal with on a day-to-day basis that no one ever knows about. Like that stuff doesn't get posted on social media. And I think a lot of new agents get in the industry just seeing that glorified sunshine and rainbow version. Yeah. And they expect it to be like that. And then they get in here and they're like, oh crap.
Right. I mean, even looking at consumers, looking buyers to sellers, or I mean, everyone in between, there's going to be that seller that can't sell their home that's been trying forever. And maybe they're working with a great agent, but for whatever reason, it's not happening for them.
It's not always the agent.
Right. Absolutely. So, and then on the buyer side.
Sometimes it is the agent. It's not always.
Right. I'd say like 85% of the time, it doesn't matter who your agent is. Like it's going to happen. So, and then on the buyer side, you work with these buyers that are working to try to get pre-approved or, just can't find the right home, because that comes up a lot. Like they're approved, they're ready to go, but there's just nothing available, which hasn't been really a thing recently. We have so much inventory right now. It's actually kind of fun to have buyers and to be looking as a buyer.
There's so much inventory.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge buyer's market no matter what the media says.
We got it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no matter what the media says right now, it's like it's a huge buyer's market because there's so much inventory. Yeah. And it can be fun. I mean, because you can go and find so many different options out there. We got
options.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Overall, though, I mean, we're going to talk about Oklahoma lifestyle too. Because I want to find out stuff that maybe we don't even know that's going on, that this podcast will help us, introduce those ideas and see what's going on in the OKC area. That's, maybe it's a concert or, I mean, just fun stuff that's going on.
All over Oklahoma. And that's the cool thing about like where we're located in specific is like we can reach just about anywhere in an hour to 2 hours that would have somewhere neat going on. So we get to cover a wide range of area and lifestyle and all of that. So
I mean, you talk about some of that. Yeah, you talk about like the Legends Tower. Is that what they're calling it? That's going up in the city.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what the logistics are of building a tower that tall in a state that's like predominantly Tornado Alley. But I'm like, that's something that will have an impact on our market. And we're going to talk about what's going on with it, but why that'll impact our market in the way that it will. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. And then lastly, I think one of the routes that I want to go with this is inviting guests onto the podcast. So obviously we're going to start out and have a few episodes out before we do this, but I do want to open it up to business owners that are either in our area or tune into the podcast and want to come and talk to us about how they run their business.
In any industry. It doesn't have to be the real estate industry.
I was thinking about some of the hair salons here or like entrepreneurs. I mean, because that's
how do you build a business? And I would love to, in particular, talk about how do you build a business in a rural community?
Because we're huge rural
community
I love that. Out here. Yeah, for sure. That. Absolutely. So that's kind of what I want to talk about on different subjects throughout this podcast. And it might vary. I mean, we'll try to hit on some educational stuff because I think that's necessary. But I want to try to make it as fun and painless as possible because that's what we try to do with our customers as well when we're helping them buy and sell.
Yeah.
So
and we will definitely take recommendations. If there's something that something you want us to cover, please ask.
Yes, because we don't know. I mean, we have a general idea, but it's really going to be catered to the viewer, and who's tuning into our podcast. But I do want to touch a little bit on what your thoughts are on the Pauls Valley market right now, just so that we can put something of value out there today.
Sure.
And leave everybody that's tuned into our first episode ever with some content. So as far as like Garvin County goes, what do you see? Is it like heavy buyer's market? Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I think that you kind of hit it, just a few minutes ago, but we're listing heavy. Inventory's there. So if you are thinking about buying, there's so many reasons why not to, but there's also so many reasons why you should go ahead and do that now.
Right.
And inventory is one of them.
Right.
And inventory that there's some longer days on market properties sitting. I'm not saying everything is sitting longer, because we have seen stuff that's moved really quickly recently, which is all pricing strategy. It's all pricing strategy.
Right.
So buyers, particularly right now, like, it's a great time to try to lock in on something where you can actually do some real negotiating, because sellers are more motivated because they have been sitting a little bit longer.
Right.
But in general, we really are moving quite a bit compared to what we were in November, December.
Yeah, because November, December, like Q4 really of all last year, 2025 was pretty rough.
Pretty slow.
Yeah, it was very slow. There was, like you said,
long,
a lot more
days on market.
Yeah, a lot more sellers sitting on market, a lot less showings happening, and even less offers actually being dished out. So.
Yeah, and I do feel like since the first of the year, that has definitely gotten better. It's improved.
It's taken a shift.
We're seeing some more movement than we were back in Q4, which is exciting. I mean, we kind of talked numbers just for our office in particular today, and our numbers are actually up quite a bit over Q4 right now. So I think that's going to continue, and as long as we can get those buyers that are, like, hey, let's take advantage of the situation right now, and like try to get in something with the least amount of money out of pocket for the buyer. It's a great opportunity to take advantage of that.
And I feel like, I love markets like this because there are so many opportunities, but I feel like there's so many people that have been wanting to buy a home or are wanting to upgrade, downgrade, whatever it is, whatever their reason for buying is, that are unsure because rates have kind of just sat. We had a little bit of rates dropping towards the end of last year, but then they've kind of, just sat around, 6%. And, but I love markets like that because there's no competition. When you're going to look at all these houses, you can pick and choose, and you don't have to worry about the house leaving the market, before you ever get a chance to see it. And really,
there's one that I know of that did hit the market with multiple offers in the last week.
Right.
But again, that was pricing strategy. The seller and the agent had a plan and a strategy, and they priced it correctly.
Right.
And it did have multiple offers, and it did sell in 24 hours. So it's not that it's not happening.
Right.
Because it can.
It still can, for sure.
It's just strategy.
It's a lot more rare to see something like that compared to what we saw in 2020, 2021.
Oh, those were all.
COVID market was a different animal. If
anything sat, you knew it was priced wrong.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I love it for buyers, especially. What I like to specialize in is young home buyers, first-time home buyers.
Those are so fun because they're so excited.
Yes. They get all excited about, oh, we're going to have so much space, or we're out on our own for the first time, or, whatever the reason is. I'm like, they're so much fun to work with. But it's also just an awesome market for that because we're able to negotiate a little more than we were. Buyers have the leverage right now, I feel like.
Yeah.
So
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes. But I love that. So 6 months from now, I know we're no, mind readers, or no one has a crystal ball,
I wish
right?
I did.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What do you see, not only our market, but Oklahoma as a whole looking like?
I think it's very hard to say. Regardless of which expert you listen to right now, you can find an argument that goes in either direction.
Right,
so depending on which expert you listen to, you're going to have people that are like, oh, the market's going to pick up and it's going to be a crazy busy summer and all this stuff is going to happen. And then you have the other expert that's like, oh, the market's going to crash. I don't think I'm in the market crashing club.
Right.
I also don't know that I'm in like, oh, we're about to like just be pounding the pavement, running like crazy people club. either if I had to like make a commitment. I really feel like we're gonna hold pretty steady into the summer months. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
because I don't have that crystal ball. There's a lot of little things that can happen that can make a big change in our market.
Right.
And until that happens, we just don't know. And we have to work with the market that we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And any market is good for someone. It just, depending on the market, is good for someone different.
Well, and that comes down into like timing. So a lot of people try to time the market and like, well, winter rate's going to be best, winter price is going to be down. It's like, that's never going to happen at the same time. And it might not be the best timing for you.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Because, jobs ebb and flow, the economy ebb and flow. Like there's just so many things on top of regular everyday life that just don't allow for that. So my best advice to people that are like, we just want to see X number for interest rates before we make a move. Okay, but we can always refinance later. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
and we should get some lenders on to talk about that.
Yes, I would love to get a lender partner on here and just pick their brain on all that stuff. But definitely, I think you said it best too, just regarding, the timing of how people are doing things and that realm. But I love it. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for today, but I just wanted to say thank you guys for tuning in to our podcast. This is obviously our pilot episode, so
we don't know what we're doing.
The budget's low, okay? If you have any recommendations of any topics you'd like us to cover that would be, entertaining, we're going to do our best to entertain you guys, but we're also going to make sure that we help you guys avoid those pitfalls that we see on a daily basis almost, and hopefully help save some money, save some time, save some headaches, maybe relationships, because it's a big deal. Buying a house, selling a house, it's emotional. That's where life happens. That's where life is going to happen, So I want to make sure
it affects everyone in some way at some point.
Right. I mean, not even just you buying or selling or being in the middle of a transaction, but your neighbor buying or selling. I mean, how does that impact you guys, within your market and within the neighborhood you live in? So lots to look forward to. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.